this thing has a unloaded cycle or is on rev limiter, you gotta keep in mind this piston is going boom, coming up like this, and then getting pulled back down. All the inertial weight of this whole piston going up and down and getting pulled down. Going up ain't a problem. Pulling it back down is where the problem is. This is where all the stress in the rod is, rod bolts, pin end. It's from pulling the piston back down. This ain't your mom's Toyota Camry connecting rod, right? This thing makes 4,000 horsepower or more. Stuff breaks. This is one of the few SMX engines that have been done for a couple years that has not been on the drag strip yet. But this one is Rocky Bowler's. Check out the car. This thing is very nice. It's one of the most unique, really cool things that you see. Rocky went down to Modern Racing, and Modern Racing wired the car, plumbed the car, did everything in the car to get the engine in it. And this engine has, believe it or not, has enough runs on the dyno, on the hub dyno, that it needs to be gone through and change rods. It actually has, I believe he said, it was a little, I think it was like, do you remember what he said? 60 something.
More than that.
Was it more than that?
So it was like 80 something.
Oh, I don't know. In between 60 and 80 full dyno hits. You know, wah, 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 you know, the full dyno hits like that. So, and he's finally going to get this car out and finally go racing it. And he said, I think I better put some rods in it. So, we're going to tear this apart, and we're just going to, I have rods in stock. We're going to, should be able to just look this over real quick, change rods. I think everything's going to be great. If there's any little things we need to touch up or do, we'll do that. But, never had anything in the oil. Everything was perfect. It used to be on gasoline. Then they changed it over to methanol. So it is now on methanol. And do you remember how much horsepower it made over there?
Not on methanol. I want to say it made 26 something on gas.
No, it was 3,000 something on gas.
Okay.
It made 3,000 on gas, and it was well, yeah, it was, but I couldn't remember what it made on methanol.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was three. I don't know, 3,500 horsepower on methanol in a lower tuned form, because he's not trying to go kill the world out there. So just at a low horsepower deal, but it's got a ton of passes on it. So let's get this tore apart. Kyle's going to tear it apart. We'll start looking at this thing. This has one of the original blocks in it. You can tell right here because it's a welded plate block. So this actually would have been one of the first of 8 blocks, I think it was, that Dart did for me before we were able to do it ourselves. So this is one of the OE original ones, like what is in the Scratch and Dent as a original block that I have now in Camaro, and then Bailey's is an original, and there's Clark's is an original. There's I think Danny Humphreys is original. Ned Dunphy might be, yeah, Ned Dunphy would be an original too. So now that I think about it, most everybody has original blocks. But hey, because I have the very first block that is now our backup motor in my wagon. That's the very first block we finished off that was done. Bryant Goldstone has the very first finished off block that we did 100% in-house. And then the new engine for the wagon is like the second or third, actually the second completely in-house block that we did. And I have another one sitting on the floor. So that was a long story just to tell you that we're tearing this apart because he's got so many dyno passes on it, but never even made a pass in the car. Wore it out on the dyno.
It happens.
It happens.
It does happen.
It has happened. So, but everything should be good. So it'll be interesting to see what all is going on. All right, so Kyle's got the intake manifold off. You can see the rocker arms. So what we're doing here is the correct procedure is take your rocker arms off one cylinder at a time. Roll it over, get both your rocker arms loose on that cylinder, check it out, see what's going on. You could even lash it, check it, or not, I'm sorry, check the lash. You're not lashing it anymore. You just check it, see where it's at, see if there was a problem. We'll probably do that real quickly, Kyle. Just make sure, feel it, see how it feels, take it off. And normally I just go through it in firing order, roll it over, do that. You can see this is, like I said, one of the original blocks. Not sure which oil he's running. That looks like it's probably HPL oil, which is fine. And although we do have our own oil coming out from Driven, you can see it's actually nice and clean through here. I mean, it looks good. I don't see anything like rust or anything, so they must have done a decent job or a good job of clearing everything out, making sure that everything is, not holding water and condensation. So, looking good. We'll just keep on proceeding on. So, you can see valve train's looking good, push rods, everything looks pretty darn nice. This has upgraded intake push for rockers, same exhaust. Yep. All right, yeah, everything's really good. Looks just like Bailey's deal so far, so can't beat that with a stick. We'll proceed on. We'll take the cylinder heads off, get all the valve train off it, and then we'll look at cylinder heads real quick, and then we'll take the pan off and start taking pistons and rods out of it. We'll figure out if I want to take it apart any farther than that. We'll look at cylinder bores, look at all that, if we're gonna put a set of rings in it or not. I'm not sure.
There's only one way to find out.
What's that?
To take it apart and look at it.
Deep. That's deep, man.
It's true.
That's true. Deep. Deep. All right, do it to it. Alrighty, so Kyle's gonna start taking the short block apart, and so everything's looking good right there. And so far everything's looking really good, right? Just like perfectly normal. Heads are looking great right through here. That's a real slight bit right there, but let's see what that looks like on the gasket. This one's super good. Everything looks nice through there. We can look at gaskets. When you're looking at gaskets, what we're looking for, if you don't know, is kind of looking for carbon tracking. So something that's been leaking compression through the hoops. So these hoops right here, I talk about these all the time, and there's videos all over about SMX hoops and the top fuel hoop, you could call it. And how that sticks down in the receiver groove. We talk about that a lot, just real quick. A hoop in the head, so it's got this wire that protrudes through it, receiver groove in the block, and it goes like that and pushes the copper gasket in between it. All right, so we can look at the gasket, and that looks real nice. I don't see any kind of discoloration there at all. Looks fine. This side, yeah, and this side looks really good too. No problems whatsoever. No problem whatsoever. So far, so good. We'll get these, so heads look good, head gaskets look good, obviously. And just thinking anything else, we will take the heads apart. I think we're gonna check the valve springs, run the valve springs across the valve spring dyno, and make sure everything's good there. Just wanna, make sure everything is top notch for this thing, because probably, Lord willing, won't see it back this year until after he has run some events, drag and drive events, not just out testing and whatnot. But so far everything looks fantastic, and we're just going to be throwing in another set of rods and rock and roll. So let's keep on tearing this thing apart. Alrighty, so you saw Kyle just wash the block, and this thing it's just spot on the money, perfect, to tell you the truth. So, but what I am going to do is, just because we have just a couple little very light spots of a little bit of actual rust on the cylinder walls, I'm talking minimal. Like, I can literally wipe it off with my fingers. What I decided to do with this is we're going to run a soft tool brush through the hone, because I can still see all the crosshatch in this. It is super nice. I'm just running this soft tool brush through it. All it does is just kind of leave a really light pattern. It doesn't change the crosshatch angle. It doesn't do anything other than basically just clean the bore and maybe like expose that crosshatch pattern. So let me show you that here real quick. So this here is it is a stone impregnated brush, and this, you could hone on this thing until 2029 and it will never remove any material. So it only is just going to go in there and basically just clean up the bore, leave this really light pattern, but it doesn't affect that crosshatch and doesn't affect the VK. What is the VK, you ask? Watch that if you want to understand about what things are in a hone. Honing the block. If you haven't watched it, you should. It's pretty interesting. Otherwise, that's it. Let's get back at it. Back here, what we're going to do is we're going to put the new rods in it. This obviously has the old series, because this is a few years old. No pin buttons. Now, this is the way we used to do this all the time. This is the most common way of doing it. But I think what I want to do is, if I have the retrofit pin buttons to take the spiral locks out and put the pin buttons in it, I'll do it. If not, we're just going to leave the spiral locks in because they seem to be pretty good. No problem. I like the buttons better, but I'd have to custom made buttons. It'd be a couple weeks to do this if I don't happen to have anything in stock. But I mean, the skirts look great, tops look great. Dang, tell you the truth, the rings literally look good. I mean, the second ring, this Napier ring, is not even touched, really. I'll talk to Rocky and see if he just wants me to put a set of rings in it for the sake of putting the rings in it. Otherwise, I'm just going to clean up the bore, put rods in this thing, put it back together. We will, though, Kyle's got all the cylinder heads all apart. We will run the springs through the spring dyno. Like I said, we will. Even though none are broke, everything looks great there. No problems. This has my common setup in it already. And we'll just lap valves, just make sure everything looks good. Nothing's moving, nothing's changing. Everything looks great, like really good. Like, I would say surprisingly good, but I think this is the way things are supposed to look. Things only look different when things go wrong or things get abused. So, yeah, we're going to proceed on, all right? So, we'll show you, probably just show you how we're running this brush through there, but we're just going to be putting things together and show you the spring dyno and lapping the valves and starting to assemble this thing. All right, now Richard Forrest just brought back for a freshen up one of the 481X. You notice this is just SM, no X, because this is actually a 481X engine, Alan Johnson Performance, that I built 3 years ago for Richard. Finally bringing it back for a freshen up. A bunch of time on it, bunch of partial passes, bunch of rev limiter hits, whole bunch of stuff. Richard even won one of Columbus No Prep Kings race. Here's a little video of that. Crazy loose, holy cow. So this video is coming up. This thing's been excellent, just in for a general freshen up. Well, we didn't end up showing you the whole teardown video, but this thing was just mint also. So just like what you're watching Rocky Bowler's SMX, this 481X, the solid version, is was just really nice. So all we ended up doing was just replacing connecting rods in this thing, changing the springs on it, and giving him his spares back, and damn, the thing just looks great. So here you can see some of the differences in between the SMX block and the 481X is all of that on the side of the block. You can see where the head stud comes down because there's actually a boss for it. So they go for light versus me where I'm going, I'll sacrifice some weight for strength, and obviously we have a flat panel across there. You'll notice a different kind of cap style too. It uses a cross bolt main. That's what Joe's putting in right there is cross bolts versus my splayed cap style. Now here Joe's just checking and verifying the clearance, main bearing clearance, and then he goes ahead and marks them down what they are, then breaks everything down, takes it apart, and that's what he's just untorquing everything right there. And we'll go ahead and pull off the main caps here and start getting ready to install the crankshaft in the block. All right, so here you see, to get the main caps off, we have these little slide hammers, and they screw into the top of the cap. Does the same thing on my SML, same thing on SMXs. Very common similarities to the 481X, obviously, to the SMX, where they dowel pin on using the main studs. Now here you can see this is our normal SMX stuff, so I put our normal SMX piston in, piston and rod in. Now these are new rods, but the old pistons that came right back out of this engine. Now this is a Pro charged engine too, just to refresh your memory on that deal. Now here you can see head bolt pattern, and you can see there's no water plates or anything up in the lifter valley. So Joe's going to put in the camshaft. Didn't have to change bearings or anything like that, and now he's just indicating it in. Now our quick way of doing it is we always set these things up at top dead center to get a good reference point to start at top dead center. Turn the camshaft so it's got 100 thousandths of lift at the lobe, and that's a good place to start figuring out where we need the final degree it at. Later on we're going to go a lot more in depth on that in this video and explain that on Rocky's engine. Now we're just putting all the pistons and rods in, the front covers on, balancers on. I wish Joe worked this fast. It would be really awesome if Joe worked this fast. This is 500 speed. And so putting the oil pan on, that's our common SMX oil pan. Front dampener setup, everything is real common there. So basically we can share almost all parts from an SMX to the 481X. Now here you see we're putting on the Pro Charger mounts, getting all the TDC marker on, putting in a valley scavenge section fitting in the back of the block right there. I have that billet machined into the block on ours, but we actually don't use that very often because we scavenge oil from the cylinder head on the SMX. Now that little crossover tube right there is very similar to the crossover tube we use in the SMX. Now I do it in two different spots. Alan Johnson just does it in one spot to cross over oil to both lifter valleys. Now here Joe is going ahead and checking all the valve springs, running across the spring dyno. This has a lot more spring on it than what we normally run in the drag and drive SMX. And Joe's just checking valve job, or finishing up the valve job by lapping it in, making sure everything looks good. Then we're going to start checking valve spring heights. Here's what he's doing, writing everything down, and going ahead and starting to assemble the cylinder heads. There too, you can see all the more lightening and scalloping that goes on there because they don't have to worry about water, obviously. It also has sewer lids on it, the same setup as the SMX. Joe's laying out all the head studs. Now notice how much thread and how long the studs are, but how much thread goes into the block. We do the exact same thing on SMXs. So the head goes on. They get a fairly elaborate torquing pattern that Alan Johnson likes to use. I've tried to simplify that up a little bit for people. And we use the same cylinder head stud package as they do, except for one head stud that has to go through the intake port in order for us to have water there. Okay, now here you see putting on the one-piece rocker arm stand. Now this is a T&D setup, and it uses a steel rocker also, very close to ours. Now here he's putting in the keyway lifters. Now if you want to know more about these keyway lifters versus a tie bar lifter, really interesting how they work, go up here and you can click on this last video that we just did, which is really nice. That's a good video on a really good high horsepower LS. So now goes on our SMX intake manifold. Covers are on. Gonna start mounting up all the blower, all that good stuff, and we're getting very close to having everything done. Now you see over here the accessory drive. That's what's down on your bottom right hand side. That's a fuel pump sticking out there in front, oil pump behind. So that's all driven off of one belt, a 3/4 inch wide HTD belt. So here we are, things all done. We shined it all up for Richard because it looked terrible when he brought it in, just all water spotted and everything. So this is a 481X that we do, and but now we have our own solid SMXs, which is what I consider an upgraded version to this, and a real good piece. But these engines were fantastic, and they are fantastic. There's I would never tell anybody anything other than that AJ 481X is nothing other than great. So it's really good. So we're getting ready to get back into Rocky's engine. Let's check it out.
All right, guys, we have now got our piston rings all gapped up, installed on the pistons, new rods also installed on the pistons. So what I'm doing now, obviously you just seen me do, I'm putting the pistons and rods into the engine block. So that's where we're at on it right now. Nothing super exciting. Everything's looking really good so far, and I'm gonna keep trucking on here.
All right, so we got Rocky Bowler's heads over here. Kyle's gotten busy working over there. And so I'm going to look at our valve job here and probably run but the intake seats look great. Exhaust seats look great. Pretty easily you can see, that whole contact line. That's just where everything is running at. It actually all looks pretty good. So the seats look really nice. Round. It's all the way around, making contact all the way around. So looks good. That looks darn nice. Not gonna mess with those. The hoops are nice. Everything feels good there. But let's check out these valve springs, because I mentioned to you the other day. So this thing's got, I don't know, somewhere near 80 to 100 dyno pulls, full RPM dyno pulls, from going from gas to methanol, everything. And but no street drive. So we're gonna sit here and we're gonna check all these springs and see what it goes to. All right, so there we go. Our springs, those are for another engine there. And then go over here. Our spread is 38 pounds. So there is, oh no, let's see. Same, little light, same, this one's light. So our number 5 exhaust is a little light. And number 1 intake. Interesting. So this one exhaust should be that one. So those two are a little bit light. Everybody else is pretty darn good. And even those are actually not really bad. I mean, they're less than 10% off. Yeah. 10% off. What do you think about that, Nate?
Well, I was just wondering what percentage is really bad.
11.
Shoot, you're right there.
Right there. No. Yeah, I think I'll do a quick check just to verify it real quick. So I think I might just end up putting 2 springs in it and to get them up to par. And I think that's pretty good. So obviously I got spare springs, so that's no big deal. We'll run that, and so pretty good. Nothing broke, nothing's super out to lunch, but I'll just get those because it's just to make them nicer. So anyways, I'm gonna put these together. That's good to know. It's exactly what I figured, and I'm gonna rock and roll. So gotta get to putting this thing together. All right, thought I'd show you a little quicker method of how to degree the camshaft. Joe did a really good job on double A. Joe says so. Did a really good job of the long version of explaining it. Let me help you out here. Degree wheel on, get it close to top dead center. Put your bridge on. Now, what you're gonna do is we want to go both sides of 0. Okay, so it has not gone all the way to top dead center yet. I'm just gonna get it right to there. I read it. We're at 3. Now it's gonna go to top dead center and then come back down to that exact same spot. Now this way it has gone over and above, and so it's doing the exact same thing as what the camshaft does. Now we're on 10. So I need to split that difference. So 3 and 10 would be 13. So 7. So it'll be right here. Come on. Come on. There we go. All right, now let's just go back and double check. So when it gets to that 90 right there, and it doesn't matter what number you pick, 10, 20, 30, 40, I don't care, as long as it's the same. All right, now we're at, I think I'm still off, 9. Comes back all the way around to, 6, all right. Did my math wrong here. So that would be like 7.5. Always go in one direction. Don't back up or do anything like that. So it's 5 and 7. I'm not sure how I keep on messing that up here. 6. So I'll go back. Go forward. Whoops. Not too far. Go forward. 90. 6.5. 90. Oh, 6.5. Perfect. So same exact amount here, same amount there. That means therefore 0 has to be 0. Absolute 0. All right. So now that's done. Now I've already rough degreed this. So since we've never taken the camshaft gear off of the camshaft, same camshaft, never taken the gear off the crankshaft, it's going to line up perfect where it was before on one tooth or another. So now you come over, we have top dead center is exactly set. Now we'll do this on intake center line. All right. Now why do I do it on intake center line? Because I want to. And it is a quicker, better, more consistent way of doing it than it is to do intake opening. So I know where that peak was at. And again, it doesn't matter what number it is, especially when you're doing it on intake center line. It just needs to be the same consistent number. All right. So we're on the front side of the lobe. It's going to come over, go up the peak, go up, and then come back down. You'll see that here in a minute. We'll read our number. We're at 59. I think I'm off. So this is going up. All right, that's the top of the lobe. And we go back down to 0. Let me add that number. 159 and 59 and 165 and a half, 4.5 is 59 plus 164.5 equals, oh, perfect. Divide that. So that is the both numbers added together. So the middle of that would be divided by 2. 111.75, 112. Perfect. Done. That's how you check it. Now, if you had to move it or adjust it, you don't ever have to do the top dead center again. All you're doing is here, you move your camshaft a little bit. Any camshaft you have. This, believe it or not, this degrees, you check it and do everything exactly the same as if you're working on the above average Joe 350 Chevy or $140,000 SMX. It is exactly the same. So when I show you here, this is exactly the way you do it on your engine. Doesn't matter what it is. So thought you'd like to see that. Now I'm going to keep on, now that we got that, I'll just put my snap ring on here. So my idler gear is correct. I've already checked thrust, but since this was already all together, it's going together really easily. So I knew that I didn't have to make any adjustment. My worst case scenario was it might have been a tooth off or something like that, but happened to nail it on the correct tooth. Now I'll put my front cover on, oil pan on, balancer on, double check our top dead center mark, because I have to take this all off, but I'll leave the bridge on there, and verify our top dead center mark on balancer, and then we'll start putting cylinder heads on, and then valve train. All right, now we have put on our rocker arms, all just loosely, one cylinder at a time. Do it in rotation. Don't sit here and figure out how many cylinders you can put on one time and then roll it over so you can put them all on the other side. Don't do that. Make this on top. Put number one, top dead center. Put both rocker arms on. Feel what they feel like. Now make sure, except for a stud mount like this on the Pontiac, shaft rocker arms, make sure it's not like trying to open the valve when you're trying to bolt this down. You can, and most likely will, bend something, either bolt, shaft, or you do some kind of damage. So make sure that it goes on. Maybe you got a little bit of lash. You're just making sure everything's all good, but don't just run it down and it just, it's all crooked and it's trying to open the valve. Not cool. Don't do that. Then after these two are on, then you go to the next cylinder, then the next cylinder, then the next cylinder. Just take your time doing it. Then we torque up the stand or shaft bolts. We've already torqued up the stand bolts, obviously. Hand the torque wrench over to your friend from Texas.
Employee of the month.
Slash customer.
Employee of the
Slash,
month.
you ain't standing around here doing nothing, wasting my time, so you're here, do this.
That's right.
All right, so give you a little valve lash video, setting valve lash, and I'll show you the proper way of doing this. All right, you want to roll this over? All right, so we're gonna always adjust the intake rocker as the exhaust rocker is opening, about a 1/4 inch open. Right there. Okay. Now, your feel is, everybody might have a slightly different feel, which is fine. Your feel can be a thousandths different than another guy's feel. And it's no big deal. Thousandths doesn't mean squat. All right. So now got that one done. Everything feels good. Yep. Go to the next one in order. So in really large race camshafts and whatnot, there is a possibility on your stock 350 Chevy that you can rotate it over one spot and hit 8 valves and roll it over another 180 and hit the other 8 valves, but not on this. You can't do that. Okay. All right.
Yep, we're good.
So adjusting the intake valve as the exhaust valve is opening. All right, that's open. Hold on. Now this little handy dandy tool here is actually a little torque wrench all at the same time, so this thing works great. All right, 184. All right. Now we do this exactly opposite when we're going to do the exhaust. Okay. Now when I'm doing this in the car, because I have a bump button that it's rolling it over faster, I'll just do one whole side. So I'm not walking across the car. That is a little inconvenient. If you really want to, but I didn't want to wear out his arm because
That's okay.
it'd be like the best workout he's gotten in a really, really long time. Like cranking the motor over that long. So you could just do, I will do like all the exhausts on one side, all the intakes on one side, then go over to the other side of the engine. But that's when I have a bump button to turn it over fast. A little more. There you go.
All right.
Now what happens when you, if you get the order off and you like forget or you hit the wrong valve or something, don't adjust it. If it is like so significant, it's like, oh wow, I got to go down like 4 turns. It's wrong. Or it's up 4 turns. It's wrong. You're hitting the wrong one. Okay, you're doing the wrong one. So just back up and kind of check it. And or you're doing it, you might be on the wrong one, or you might be doing it on the wrong cycle. People sometimes do that. All right, so I'll show you that cycle. So this is opposite of the overlap cycle. So there's an overlap cycle where both the intake and exhaust are open at the same time. Hence, overlap. Okay? So you don't want to cycle or adjust the valves on overlap cycle. So if you roll this over a little bit more, I'll show you the overlap cycle. So if you do this, keep going. Keep going. Now right here is the overlap cycle. See how the intake valve is opening and the exhaust valve is closing? There's no way to adjust those right there. And if you try to, you're obviously going to be way off. Right? So now, there you go. So how we adjust the exhaust valve is adjusted after the intake valve is fully opened and is closing. That way we know that we're not on the overlap cycle. We know that this is on the base circle of the camshaft. Probably close it just a little bit more than that. That's good. All right. And if you go another quarter turn or so, both of them technically are on the exhaust will be close to opening up, and that's usually where you have a problem because it would be on the firing cycle. So the intake valve is closing. Piston is already on its way up right now as this intake valve is starting to close. FYI, the intake valve not on like your really small hydraulic roller LS or something, or definitely not on your mom's Toyota Camry, but on this, the piston is actually coming back up, and it's actually going to be chasing the intake valve. The intake valve is closing, and the piston has already gone past bottom dead center, and it's going like that. So that's why valve timing is real critical, and why you have reversion in the intake manifold at low RPM. Why you'll have like, oh, it's like, why is there carbon up in the intake manifold? Why is there oil up in the intake manifold? Why is there anything in the intake manifold? It's because on big camshafts like this, it's a matter of fact of life. You can't close the valve fast enough without doing damage. That that little bit of intake valve is open while the piston is still coming back up. So at real low speeds, it will send a little pulse right back up into the intake manifold. All right, 1-8. So valve's coming up. All right. I address this every time we do any kind of valve lash video. I've done these several times. If you haven't seen it yet, if you have seen me do valve lash videos, sorry, that's why I'm giving you a little bit extra information, like the intake reversion pulse, because the piston's actually coming up while the intake valve is closing, stuff like that. So I try to give you a little more information on it, so it has some value and you don't get bored of me saying the same thing all the time. But always remember, there's somebody new that's coming in that hasn't seen everything. 1, 8, 4, 3, 6. So this is the proper way of setting your valves. All right. Now, when you see people, the terminology is actually wrong, and that's what confuses people, is that people will say lashing your valves. You're not lashing your valves. You're checking your valves. After this is done, you know, and it's making passes, the only thing that people are doing, and it doesn't matter who they are, if it's pro mod stuff, any kind of application where somebody's just checking the valves in between rounds, that's all you're doing. You're just checking, making sure that nothing's wearing, nothing's broken, nothing's going away. You are not adjusting it. Because if all of a sudden we start this thing up and I come in and I check the valve lash just to see if everything's okay, and this one rocker right here has got 20 thousandths of lash, don't adjust it. There's something wrong.
Right.
There's something wrong. So if you adjust it, you're gonna F it up. Just figure out what's wrong. There could be a possibility you might have missed it. Maybe you screwed it up the first time. Always a possibility, but something has changed. Something's wrong. Or if there's 0 lash, something's changed. Something's wrong. So that's what you're always doing. So when people say lashing valves, it's the wrong terminology. It just means you're checking valves, and you can check valves as often as you want. You can check them every pass. You can check them once a year. Don't matter. But at some point in time, something's going to break. Something's going to happen, and it does more damage You know, if this thing has got something that's wearing away, or it's got a lifter that's going bad or something like that, it's a whole lot better to catch it when it's just wearing away and it's like opening up the lash a little bit. You check it and you go, oh, there's something wrong. Oh, look at that, the lifter's bad. Oh, change lifter, no big deal. You go too long and, oh crap, there's something broke and now I can't get the lifter out of the bore and I'm gonna have to tear the whole motor apart to get the lifter out of it. And something like that. So, one last valve here. Intake valve is, oh no, I'm all done.
That's it.
Yeah, I already did this one. I was just gonna go back over and do it all over again. So remember, you're gonna adjust the intake valve as the exhaust is opening. Adjust the exhaust valve as the intake is closing. And that is the proper method of doing valve lash. All right, so we're gonna put the intake manifold back on this, get everything all set up, but this thing's ready to rock. So, if you got any questions, leave your comments, leave your questions. More than happy to answer stuff. If you got any questions?
Nope. Are we done? We're done yet? Is it lunchtime yet?
It's not lunchtime yet. No, it's not freaking lunchtime yet. It's not your break time either.
Oh man.
All right. So, we're going to finish this thing up. Like, subscribe, all that happy jive. And you leave your comments or questions. We're going to go over them. I'm going to pick my favorite question, send that person. I already sent out thousands of dollars worth of t-shirts and stuff. Maybe it's only hundreds of dollars. But anyways, we send out stuff to everybody that I picked, that contacts me, that I selected their question as my favorite question. We're sending out little stuff, t-shirts, hats. I don't know, my wife's in charge of that, so she's sending out stuff. So anyways, appreciate all you guys very much. Have a great day.